Hello, my name is Robin, and today we will talk about one of the nicest features we've built in a little while for our users. Consistently, our users and customers have been asking us how can they reuse test cases, test steps, and entire test suites to run long-running validations for their Salesforce implementation. So today, we're happy to launch test suites for our customers because when you reuse, that is how you can have better testing and automation for your Salesforce implementations. Here are just a few advantages, but the real fun is seeing it in action. So let's go. So let's see how to use test suites to improve the suites of test cases that you have by reusing the pre-built test cases or the ones that you build. So here we are on our TestZeus screen. I've gone to test suites on the left hand side panel. Once I click over here, I can click on the create test suite and give it a name. But for this simple demo, we've already created a few. Thanks for your help on our engineering team. Now that being said, what I can do is I can go to any one of these, and as you can see, there's a small canvas or a section where we can drag and drop the nodes. So what is a node, you may ask? A node could be another test case or an entire test suite. So for example, I already have some test cases like account to code creation. I can also search for test cases, let's say like validation. I can just type maybe I want to add an API test case, so I can add that as well. So simple to search, so simple to add it to a canvas. Now the real fun happens in how these individual test cases can act as Lego blocks. Just like how you make a larger product using smaller Lego blocks. Similarly, you can use these individual nodes to create a long-running flow with dependent and independent test cases or test steps. What you could also do is you could have an entire test suite made up of individual test cases, feeding it into another test suite or another test case. A common question which arises is how do we connect these together? Very simple, just click on one of the blocks here, and then drag the node onto another one. So once again, I can just click on this and then connect it to the other block. That is how simple it is. Once we do that, as we can see on the right hand side, another panel opens up for review for us. It shows us the test case that we are working upon, and then it also shows key values such as the input variables and the output variables. So an input variable is something which a test case requires in order to successfully complete its execution. The output variable is something which a test case emits, and the receiving test case can actually catch it and use it for its execution. Let's quickly see how to set these up in your test case. When we click on the test case, it takes us to the test case details screen. On the right side bottom, we see this new section appearing for input variables and output variables. What I can do is I can just click on add, write the variable name that we want for the value. Let's say this is an input variable, so this will catch a value from a test case which runs prior to this create contact via UI test case. For example, you wanted to go from an account to a contact to an opportunity. Over there, the account test case will act as a precursor to the create account test case, and therefore it will have an output variable. Input variable here could be the username which the account creation test case is sending, and the contact creation test case is receiving. So that's the simple concept of the caller versus the calling test, and how an output variable of a test case acts as the input variable of the following test case. So once we've created this value, inserting it in the test case is actually very simple. I just have to press this injection button over here, and it will just inject it with the right value. Interestingly, I can type that by hand as well. So for example, I can say then the user name should be, and then $.input.username is how I would write that. For now, I'll delete it because this was just for demo purposes. But then there are other input and output variables set up in the test case over here. Once we've done this, I can just click on the save button. What I can also do is if I click on the references button, I can see the test suites that reference this precise test case. So for example, this one is being used in 3 test suites. Going back to our test suite, what we can see is that, for example, here we are creating an account via Apex. From that account, we are creating a contact via UI, and then we are verifying the details through SOQL and then deleting the test data via API. We can run this very simply by clicking on the Run Test Suite. Before we run this, let's quickly jump on to the Edit Configurations screen. The suite can have its own configuration. I can set the environment where I want to run it. I can add tags to it, input variables and output variables at the suite level, not at just the test case level. Because as I said, one test suite can act as a precursor to another test suite. That being said, it could have notification channels when the test suite is run, whether we want to send notifications. You can set up workflow settings, like if you want to do timeouts. So if you believe that it's a long-range test case and you want to set, let's say, the timeout before it fails the test suite and it should wait, you can set that value over here. You can set up the retry count. We can also set up the delay minutes and maximum parallel nodes. All of these can be configured at the test suite level. What we can also see is that apart from editing the configuration, we can set up schedules. So this is another piece which we totally love. I can set up, let's say, a new schedule. We can say that this is part of my nightly run, and I can set up a small cron job in classical terms, or a recurring schedule where this test case should run daily, weekly, monthly, based on your testing cycle. Maybe this is a smoke test suite and I want to run it on a weekly basis. I can specify which days of the week that I want to run this, the specific time, and then just save that. Once the test suite is run, it will automatically trigger the test cases inside the test suite and then trigger the reports and emails as part of the TestZeus platform. Let's go back to the test suite. Oops, I missed saving it, so I'll save it now. What I can do is I can just click on the Run Test Suite from here or from the test screen that you were seeing earlier. I can put up the run name, maybe just the demo, and we can also select the environment and the notification channels and click on the test suite. The minute we hit the Run Test Suite button, we can see that all the steps go into the pending stages. The first block is in running state right now, and as these blocks complete, they will be marked as passed, failed, running, or pending, as we can see. While this test case is running, we can look at the steps that it has, the overview, the inputs and the outputs in one place. But then what we can also see is that if we go inside Run Management and Test Suite on the left-hand side, we can see which test suites have we done in the past, which one is running, which one have successfully completed, and which ones have failed. So let's say, as an example, I go on to an earlier one that I was running. I can see that the first step has failed over here and the others are in pending state. So if I also pick an older one, I can see a similar result. So that is how we can see the report of the test suites. If I click on the View Report button, it takes me to the report of the test suite. For example, here it has 1 failed, 0 passed. What I can also do is I can read the whole test suite via the button on the top right. And for the same test suite, I can see it has been my run history. So that is how you can utilize the test suite feature to reuse individual sets of building blocks or test cases to create larger end-to-end test suites. Not only can you reuse the test cases, you can also reuse the test suites to create this mega chain of test cases which are dependent or independent and can be run in a certain sequence. That's about it for today. Go try it out. Thank you. And that is how simple it is to combine various building blocks, just like Legos, to make a comprehensive test suite. You can use individual test cases with input output variables, or you could use test suites talking to other test suites or test cases so that you can build a large chain or waterfall kind of a test execution pattern by reusing the same test cases or test suites and saving all the effort in the process. Try it out today on TestZeus. Thank you so much and see you soon with cool features. Bye bye.